Today is April 16th, 2023. This is the 7th episode of the New York Yankees Kingdom podcast. Today, we're recapping the Yankees series split against the Twins. And I'm your host, Sean Vowles, and today I'm joined by Jackson Treneman. Jackson, it's our first series that we didn't win of the year, but after dropping the first two, I think we got to be pretty happy about the split. And as of today, we are the only team in the MLB who has yet to lose a series. So opening thoughts on this series as a whole before we get into the games?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it was a successful one. You're not going to win every series. I guess the goal is not to lose them. I know most are 3 games, so it's either a win or a loss most of the time. We normally do very well against the Twins. We were playing at home, so I mean, I guess coming into it, we wanted to go 3-1, I guess. But losing the first 2 games and then winning the next two, nothing to be ashamed of. I know there's some injury concerns. We'll go into that a little bit, and I guess people possibly coming back soon. But overall, I would say pretty good series, and just keep trotting along and just winning as many games as possible.
Yeah, I think the way that first game started, to have and kind of giving away game two, kind of taking care of these games 3 and 4 was pretty good. We got some great pitching, starting pitching, which is what we've been asking for, deeper and longer into the games. So we'll get into game one. Game one was not a fun one by any stretch of the imagination. It was on Thursday, and before the Yankees even got up to the plate, they found themselves down 9-0. The Twins put up 9 in the first. They batted around, and they hit 1, 2, 3 homers in a row. Johnny Brito only gets 2 outs, gives up 7 earned, and then Colton Brewer goes 3 1/3, gives up 4 runs, was DFA'd after the game. Then Hamilton got 9 outs, and then Jimmy Cordero got 3 outs, and then the newest two-way player in the MLB, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, got the last 3 outs of the game. That was more of a fun situation after being down by a lot. Rizzo did hit 2 solo homers, which was a good sign, but other than that, not much to talk about here. Not a game that we kind of liked our chances going in, but Joe Ryan pitched pretty well for the Twins, and Brito, obviously, after really doing phenomenally in his first 2 starts, kind of got figured out here. So, any thoughts on game one or any specifics we got to talk about?
Well, definitely going into it, the matchup with Burrito versus Joe Ryan, that was probably the worst one in terms of the Yankees' favor all series. So if you're going to lose the game, I guess it'd be that one. It turned from frustration 4-0 to comedy at 9-0. You know the game's over at that point. You sucks, you have to play it and whatever, you have to go through the process. Thankfully, guys like Hamilton, Brewer, I know one of them's no longer on the team, but at least getting these outs helps save other people from having to throw innings. And I think it's a lot to have guys put that stress on their arm early in the season. So thanks to those guys for stepping up. And yeah, that game was a wash from the start. Not a good way to start up the series, but I mean, they had a fluke inning. And I like Burrito going forward, and I hope that he's not discouraged at all. But we're definitely going to need him for a little bit longer, definitely, and then possibly as the 5 starter, as Schmidt hopefully starts his transitioning to the bullpen or a middle long reliever type of guy. But overall, I mean, whatever. You're gonna have these games along the season, and it's much better than the game 2 loss, which I'll get into unless you have anything else to add on game 1.
Just Yankees 2 runs on 4 hits. Anthony Rizzo had 3 of them, including 2 home runs. Volpe had the other one. But yeah, not that any teams are really set up to come back from 9 runs, but the Yankees certainly aren't. They just to get 9 runs, you have got to get on base a lot more than the Yankees did in this game. And with the Yankees kind of home run, you're rarely going to hit enough home runs to get 9 runs. So, I think that kind of wore on the players a little bit. They weren't as locked in as they probably usually were, knowing that they were down by 9. But with the first game of a 4-game series, you want your starting pitcher to get more than 2 outs. It could have been kind of a bullpen disaster this series, but it wasn't, thanks to Brewer and Hamilton covering more than 6 innings, which was big. And then obviously the 9th inning was covered by a position player, but yeah, I guess we can move on to game two.
And you mentioned the word bullpen disaster, and that's going to be the main theme of this game. Listen, it started off great. Volpe hits his first homer, but as he's trying to get his ovation, his coming out of the dugout, Judge hits one. So you're starting off Volpe, Judge, and everything's feeling great. Nestor looks great, and then you give up one, so it's fine. But then Stanton hits one, and then you think, and you're like, when Judge and Stanton hit homers, and you always see the graphic, it's like 29-2. Now it's like 29-3 or whatever. But yeah, they had three homers, and they had situations where they weren't necessarily getting runs across. They had eight hits this game. They just, I guess, couldn't get that extra hit. And Nestor kind of got beat by the home run ball. And then this is where, all up to that, Nestor went 7 innings, allowed 2 runs. You're going to take that 10 out of 10 times. So you're up by one going into the eighth, facing 9-1-2. Obviously, that includes Buxton and Correa hitting first and second, which at this point are the only really great hitters in their lineup or good hitters. And you bring in Clay Holmes. To me, before we even get into what happened and all that, that can't happen ever. Clay Holmes is not, at this point in the season, a high leverage reliever. He is their closer. I don't know if doesn't have the mental stability for it or whatever, but he is most comfortable in the ninth inning. That's when he's going to get his stuff done. I would have much rather gone to Ron Marinaccio. I would have much rather gone to Michael King. They have this weird thing where they only want Michael King to pitch where he can go multiple innings.
We actually did not see Ron in this entire series.
He tried to they warmed him up once as a possible, but it's like I understand maybe you are a little hesitant to use Ron there, but the whole Michael King can only pitch when he's going to go 2 or 2+ innings kind of hindered their bullpen in this game and made Clay Holmes pitch in an uncomfortable situation. And you can blame whoever, but I mean, and Correa's hit wasn't anything special, but they put guys on base and they got a hit. And the Yankees were not going to come back from that. I mean, the Twins bullpen and pitching in general is just really good. I mean, Lopez, Duran, even Emilio Pagan most times. Sometimes he's a little rough, but I mean, when you had to face Lopez and Duran, you knew it was kind of over at that point. But what are your thoughts on bringing Holmes in the eighth?
Yeah, I guess maybe you try these things in April, but it's just one of those games again that you don't have to mess around. You've got a lead. It's the second game of a series. You already lost game one. So I just don't like the messing around. And if you want to bring in King there, just have him pitch the eighth and the ninth. Like, you don't need 3 innings from King. Abreu's a guy that they've tried that with too. Like, you get 6 or 7 innings from the starter, you just throw them in there and let them try and finish it. You don't need 2 of those players. You don't. So, I get it. Trying to get Clay in for the best hitters, but Taylor got him, I think, with a broken bat single, and then he lost Buxton, and then Correa. Good hitters do damage sometimes, and if you get the first 2 guys out, and then Correa hits a 2-out double, oh well, you get Solano, and innings over. But yeah, especially with Buxton, didn't get a single hit this series. You really just can't walk him there. You got to make him put it in play, especially with Taylor already on first. And then them scoring from first on the double was a little bit disappointing. I know Buxton and Taylor are some of the
Buxton's
fastest in the
score.
league.
Like it's got to be a perfect relay at that point. But I mean, I just don't think Holmes is a high leverage reliever. I think close. He's a closer. Guys like Loaizaga, guys like even Wandy can pitch in these situations. Honestly, I'd rather Wandy against the righties. His changeup is good. He doesn't need to only face lefties. They're just the Loaizaga hole in their bullpen right now, and their refusal to use King for a singular inning. Because, yeah, sure, we'll talk about it more in Game 3, but they used King the next day to finish off the game, the last out of the 7th and the next 2 innings when they were up 6-1, which is like, sure, nice win, glad to close it out. But we have many guys that can do that. You kind of need to use King and at least make him come back to his high leverage moments. I don't know. I don't love Holmes when strikes need to be thrown. As a closer, I like him to figure out his stuff in the 9th or so, but I think that was a mistake, and I don't think Boone's going to mess around with that anymore. But, I mean, that was a bad loss.
Yep.
Nestor pitched great. You shouldn't, honestly, as the Yankees, you shouldn't really lose Nestor and Cole starts, to be honest, the way that they pitch most of the time.
And he
And
pitched
Nestor,
7 innings. It was huge that he got 21 outs with the starting pitcher the day before, like we said, getting two.
oh, I know. Again, he was great. So
And he gets
it
clipped for a
sucks.
couple solo shots, but yeah,
Not gonna win them all. That one stung much more than the first game. So then
definitely.
you're looking at down 2-0-2 in the series. It's hard. You don't really worry. Like it sucked in the moment, but like I've learned to kind of just like let it go at points because, like we said, things do get better, and I guess that's when we'll go right into game three. And we watched a gem from Domingo on a Jackie Robinson day. It was just he looked good. Obviously, there was we'll talk about the big moment, which was the umpires checking him for sticky stuff, which I guess at the moment has been thought of as a lot of rosin mixed with potential sweat or whatever. I don't necessarily think that means he was cheating. Clearly, the umpires didn't feel that way, or they would have ejected him. I think the issue was they told Domingo to wash his hands because they felt like it was too much of something. And and then maybe he did wash his hands, but apparently he likes to apply the rosin in the dugout too. So again, maybe a miscommunication or whatever, but Herman definitely had his stuff rolling. I mean, he was perfect for most of his outing, and he ended up with 6 and a third innings pitched and 11 strikeouts. I mean, he was pitched as well as he basically ever has. I remember a Red Sox start in Fenway a couple years ago. He pitched close. He was throwing like a no hitter into the seventh,
And
and
they
then
lost that game, by the way. But
Loizaga came in and blew up. So, I mean, we remember that one, of course. But I mean, overall, it was just like just a solid game. I mean, I think to get the scoring on the board when Higgy hit that 2-run shot, it feels nice when the bottom of the lineup is producing. And I don't know, this was a more actual hitting game for them. They only got 6 hits, but they scored 6 runs. Normally, they're getting like 8 or 9 hits and only scoring like 3 to 4 runs. So, I mean, anything that you want to take away from this game other than kind of just a really nice pitching outing from Allen?
yeah, he got his fastball going. You know, his curveball, they talk about it all the time. It's his primary pitch on MLB The Show for a reason. He throws it all the time, and it's pretty good all the time. But his fastball has been poor at times and alright at other times. It was really good today, and you really only need two pitches if they're both working. Obviously, they're not going to both work every day, but he's really good, and we needed that, right? We lost the Nestor start that we agree we should always win. We put ourselves in a good position to win. So when you drop an Nestor start, you gotta pick up another one that you maybe shouldn't win. I mean, Molly's all right for the Twins. He's pretty solid. He's probably their second best starter, if I had to guess. Ryan's pretty good, but yeah, and them having used their high leverage guys the day before too, it was really important that we won this game, and we only used two relievers. Rizzo had another homer. DJ had another RBI, and then the moment in the seventh inning that kind of might be a little bit of an issue was when Giancarlo was up with two men on, and he rips a ball into left field, and it hits the top of the left center wall there, which is the deepest part of the ballpark and the deepest left center in any ballpark. And as he was slowing down to second, he kind of pulled up with a hamstring issue. He was replaced by Hicks, who pinch ran for him, and Stanton's now on the 10-day IL with a left hamstring issue. They put him on the IL before there was even an MRI, so I think this is pretty bad news. Kay thought it was gone. I thought it was gone, but it turns out it's only a double, and we lose Stanton for a period of time. So, yeah, it's really unfortunate. I'll ask you this, Jackson. Do you think we see Stanton in before the middle of May?
No, I think this is a 2 month type of thing. I think
Jeez.
rest of April, May. I think we see him early June maybe. The issue for me is not as much of him missing that time. Again, we're used to this at this point. Stanton misses time throughout the year. Come playoff time, he's usually ready to go. The two issues for me are one, Giancarlo's looked good at the plate. His strikeout numbers are down. He looks confident at the plate. This kind of screws up everything. He's going to come back and he's going to be rusty. So that's going to be annoying. And then the second part is the Yankees will refuse to put him in the outfield ever again. And that kind of mucks up DH situations. They're they really want Donaldson to play third base. They want him to be their everyday starter. Whenever Boone's asked, they say that. That means less at bats for Torres, DJ possibly, and it just like kind of you look and you're like that Stanton not playing the outfield sometime harms the lineup, and it's just frustrating to think about that. I love the depth that the Yankees have hitting somehow. Like it's just like I don't mind Willie Calhoun getting at bats. I don't mind Franchi getting at bats. Even IKF to a point, I don't mind him getting at bats, especially in the 9 hole. So it's really tough to see how it's going to impact them long term. Obviously, losing your cleanup hitter sucks, but I think they'll be able to withstand it more than not. I mean, again, Judge is still there, DJ's still there, Rizzo, Volpe. I like what I'm seeing overall. Hopefully, Stanton heals up and is ready to in the midsummer to kind of continue on his thing.
Yeah, the big thing to me was that they put him on the IL before there was an MRI, and that's just not a good sign. But they probably know what the result's going to be before they get it. We'll see how bad it is, but yeah, 40% of the games that he's been on the Yankees, he's missed. But I feel like that number doesn't really tell the story because he takes a lot of time to get heated back up when he comes back, and he never did last year. I mean, he had an all right playoffs, but before his injury, he was playing pretty well, and his average was up from the year before, and he was playing the outfield, and then he gets hurt and he comes back, and at the end of the season, he's hitting like 215. So, this injury did come while running the bases as the DH, so maybe they aren't against putting him in the field, but
Not the outfield, but they seem to think that it is.
oh
But
yeah, for sure. But when Bader comes back and Judges, they played him in left in the spring. That's a pretty good outfield, Judge Bader Stanton, but we'll see what happens there. Like you said, we got 3 infielders for 2 spots at second and third. But at least that's not going to be an issue until he comes back. But
oh yeah, DH spot, all of that stuff.
yeah,
I can
but yeah, we'll
agree
talk
with.
about the roster and what we think the best lineup will be for the time being after Game 4. But Game 4 was just today, 2-0 Yankees win. Garrett Cole with a complete game shutout, 9 innings, 2 hits, and just 1 walk and 10 strikeouts. The only offense was a DJ hit and run in the 3rd inning, which scored Judge. And then DJ hit a solo shot about just over the fence and right, 340 feet. Looked like Kepler could have made a play on it, but he didn't. But that was all the offense. Yankees had 7 hits and 2 walks, and like I already said, the Twins only had 2 hits on 1 walk. So obviously this was an ace versus ace battle. Jackson, Pablo Lopez versus Cole. Pablo Lopez nearly a Yankee last year at the deadline, if you remember. But this game was always going to be low scoring, and DJ, after not being in there a couple days, good to see him start to hit. He had a couple loud outs in this one too, and then Garrett Cole, obviously, what a start to the year for him. So I'm a little bit worried Judge didn't have the best series, but takeaways from Game 4.
DJ is back. I love DJ in runners in scoring position or guys on base things. He becomes a better hitter. He's so good at hitting the ball the other way, which it doesn't always make sense when there's no guys on. Like I know you want to get on base, but him driving in runs is just something special to watch most of the time. So I really do like him hitting late or in the middle of the lineup like that. I think that's what it is going forward. Volpe's a leadoff hitter now. I think that's pretty solidified today. I think it's was bound to happen anyway. And DJ's got to drive people in, especially with no Stanton. And I think Cole has just continued to build and build on his starts. You think when he's pitching so well, throwing a no hitter, he gives up like a hit to Solano, I think, and then Kepler comes up. I'm like, home run,
Uh-oh.
2 run. It's like in the back
Tying
of my
run.
head. And then it just like he gets out of it nice and easy. He's been way more meticulous on his pitching this year. And I think what it comes down to is that his knuckle curve is there. He's had it every single start. And I think his fastball hasn't always been there, but that's always his go-to pitch. But when he has his knuckle curve and his slider working, he doesn't even need his changeup. He goes fastball, knuckle curve, slider, and he was just like hitting spots. Like I don't know, it was special to watch. I felt like he was in control the whole time, and again, like we said, pitching to contact, staying in the zone, making them hit hard pitches, and I think that every time Cole and even Nestor go out at this point, and hopefully when we get back Rodon and Sevy, like these guys have to go out and give us 6, 7 innings every single time. And but the hitting wise, I mean, again, all it really takes for the Yankees is one guy to step up every day, every game. Today was DJ. Judge, I'm never actually worried about because good players are just good for a reason. Like whatever. I mean, the Twins had a game plan. They wanted to pound low and away breaking pitches, especially changeups. And all these guys have good changeups and splitters. I mean, that's Maley's go-to pitch, his like splitter, his split change, and that's Pablo's main pitch, his change. So it's like obviously this wasn't a great matchup for Judge this series, but individual things mean nothing in baseball, and I'll take the win 10 out of 10 times. And you just move on from there. You have the off day tomorrow, which is great, and bullpen's fully rested for the Angels to come into town. And I guess that'll lead right into us talking about the Angels. But I mean, any last things on this game other than just great job by Cole?
Yeah, it's game 3 and 4 thing. Judge had one hit in the 2 games, and we still won them both, which is good. Not super reliant on one player, which is good. I mean, Judge has been fine this year. He's been pretty spectacular, but yeah, we're winning games without him kind of having to do something. And there's been stretches over the years where if he goes, 0 for 4 or 0 for 3 with a walk or something, that we probably weren't winning that game. But it seems like, we have a lot of people who are at least like hard to get out at the plate, right? We have Rizzo's hitting 315. He hooked a couple homers this time. He had a nice single the other way today. Glaber, who has cooled off after his super, super hot start, but I still think he's driving the ball well. He's still not waving at those sliders outside. He had a nice hit the other way today, even though Lopez got him once or twice. And then we have Judge and LeMahieu's hitting 280. And, those are the guys that are going to have to get it done for us. And Volpe's starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm here. It's 4 games in a row with a hit for him, which is big. And, he has 3 walks in those 4 games, and every time he's on the bases, he's a threat to steal. So I think offensively, maybe we could. I think we're starting to see some consistency, and we've got Bader out and now Big G out. But yeah, I think our offense is not going to be like the best in the league or anything like that. It's our pitching that's going to win us games, and our pitching's nowhere near where it's going to be in a couple weeks, and I still think that's pretty well. I don't know if we could have expected more from the pitching with the personnel so far. But yeah, I think it's good to look to the Angels. We got an off day, and obviously with no bullpen used today and King used yesterday, I think we're looking at a full complement of players on Tuesday to pick from.
Everyone's good to go.
Yeah, so a couple of other roster things before we get into the Angels. Peraza's up. We didn't see him today. Boone said he's not going to be in the mix for third base, which is a little bit not great to hear. He's pretty much been playing second and short in the minors, and maybe he gets a game here or there, or maybe he just goes down when Donaldson comes up, which will be Wednesday. He's going to play with Somerset on Tuesday, and then be activated Wednesday for Game 2 against the Angels. But they seem to really like Willie Calhoun as the DH against righties. So I think it's probably Peraza going back down, unfortunately, for Donaldson.
Yeah, and I think Boone made it pretty clear that Peraza is going to go down when Donaldson's back on Wednesday. So, I mean, it's whatever. Peraza's not going to do much for us right now, and I guess they still view Donaldson. I wish they would play Donaldson a little less.
Donaldson's really the only offensive player who hasn't at least looked pretty solid at the plate this year, of the big guys, I mean. But yeah, Boone said in the post game right before we came on that Donaldson's starting third base, and then somebody asked what about DJ? Is Torres going to sit? And he's like, don't worry about it. Everybody's going to play.
Yeah, and he's right about that.
But yeah, Calhoun, I think, is probably the DH against righties, and Cordero's probably right field, Judge center field, Oswaldo left field. And then against lefties, Kiner is probably center field, Judge is right, and then the DH is one of the infielders that doesn't get in. But I think you were right about it earlier. I think Volpe's the leadoff for the time being, because I really like DJ kind of stretching that lineup to fifth. If DJ's leadoff, we're putting somebody fifth who is Donaldson or
Yeah,
one of the
it's not.
lefty outfielders, which is not good. I like them rather than six or seven. So I've always been a big proponent of DJ at the five. He did fine at leadoff, but he doesn't really have the speed that a typical leadoff hitter would like to have. And now we actually have someone who can do that. And they're talking about on the broadcast with O'Neill, Volpe's dancing on the bases. They're like, does that distract you as a hitter? He said, sometimes on second, but I think it distracts a pitcher way more. And Judge got a really good pitch to hit. He just missed it. Deep fly out to center. So I think we're kind of in agreement here that Volpe's probably going to be the leadoff until
Answer
at
comes
least
back.
Bader comes back.
Yeah.
And then we'll see there. But any other roster things we got to talk about? Colton Brewer was DFA'd. And Weissert is up in the bullpen now. I didn't see him. But, yeah, I'm thinking that we are going to get our best bullpen 2 out of the 3 Angels games, probably.
Yeah, I was just looking at the schedule. I think in the next 35 days we have 2 off days. We only have one in the next 2.5 weeks. So I mean, this is time to buckle down, and we're playing every day at this point. So everyone's gonna get their days off. So you got to stay healthy and just try to put together wins. I mean, I would sign up for our record 10 out of 10 times. I mean, it's 10-6. I mean, obviously Rays are 14-2. It's some absurdity, but we'll have a chance to play them.
And we'll play
But
the
winning,
Nationals and the A's, too, like they have.
yeah, we probably won't sweep them, but we'll win most of the games. But yeah, I think it's just important to keep winning. Yankees haven't swept anyone yet, but again, you just want to keep winning as much as possible, and you'd probably get to mid-90s wins, and you're a playoff team. Division may be a little harder this year. You got the Rays and the Blue Jays are really good, but yeah, I think other than that, I think what are we going to preview the Angels series a little bit? Or
Awards.
the awards, okay.
So Chris is not here today. He's busy with homework, unfortunately. He has not sent his in yet, so it looks like we're going to get to go first here. Jackson, you can go first for King of the Series, and then I'll go first for Disappointment. But who you got?
King of the Series. I went Cole last week, and I'm not gonna go him this week because as much as I expected at this point, I'm gonna give it to Herman. Whether or not he was cheating or not, who knows? I don't think he was, but I think Herman came down. We were down 0-2 in the series, and he came in. He threw a gem, and it was much needed. Obviously, Cole built on him today and stuff like that, but that was a tough time for him to come into pitch, and you really don't want things to unravel after that. So I think Herman's my king of the series. He's had some rough outings, and he bounced back and he threw like an ace. So he's my guy for the series.
Hey, he was your disappointment last week, so yeah, he was really important. I'm gonna go with Anthony Rizzo. 3 homers this series. Obviously, 2 of them were pretty inconsequential, but he's really starting to lock in at the plate, and he's probably the second most important hitter on the team. He is obviously we've got Calhoun and Cordero, but he's pretty much the only lefty that is in our heart of the lineup. So it's really important that he stays hot. And he got he thought he walked in one of the games and was halfway down the line before the ref or the ump pulled him back on a pitch that was way outside, and that was pretty unfortunate for him. But he bounced back and hit a home run later in the game, I believe. So yeah, he's my king of the series. He's starting to really get going. And then for disappointment, there's one really obvious one. And I'll go with Brito. It's unfortunate for the kid. 2 great starts, 1 really bad one. I think he's the only, or maybe there's another obvious one, but 2 out, 7 earned. Unfortunate, especially in the first game of the series. We need a little more, and he's going to get a chance against the Angels on Tuesday. I believe. Oh no, Clark is
So
next. But yeah, he's going to get a chance on Wednesday against the Angels, and we need him to be a little better. So I'll go with Johnny Brito.
yeah, I'm gonna go Hicks just for the simple fact of like his at bats aren't even competitive anymore. He doesn't have a major league swing, and it sucks. He's done good things for us in the past, but it's time to move on. He doesn't provide much value if he's not an everyday player. He doesn't have a skill set off the bench, a defensive thing, a speed thing. I think it's time to move on. Let him go. Let him do whatever he wants to do. But it's not worked, and we need to move on from that because they're free outs at this point. When Volpe's hitting ninth, he's basically acting like a double leadoff. When Hicks is hitting ninth, it's like the Yankees were forced to have a guy in that spot. So it's unfortunate. There's no reason today, no matter what you want to claim defensive purposes or whatever, that Franchi's not in right field. No reason. Zero reasons. Oswaldo should have been in left, Franchi in right. And then that would have given us many more chances to actually score. I think it's pretty bad that Hicks was in the lineup today. But he's my disappointment, and I just think he's not really a major league caliber hitter anymore.
Yeah, it's unfortunate today he struck out. I think all three times he came to the plate. Yeah, and
Bad.
the first one was looking. It was a ball. It was a bad call. He should
Yeah,
have walked there,
definitely.
but
Definitely.
still, it's not like he is going up to the plate trying to get a hit, right? He takes the first pitch no matter what, pretty much, and I think pitchers are going to start to realize that, and they're just going to drop pitches in there. And then he's swinging. He can't hit the high fastball. He's over swinging. He's getting to his front half way too early.
Right.
There's no reason for me, like you said, Cordero and Wright. But even just from an at bats point of view, I'd rather have IKF in the lineup. Honestly, get him more
Okay.
reps in the outfield. Get him more comfortable there. He's looked pretty
He
good
should be
there
in
so
center
far.
today. Judge and right, Oswaldo and left would have been really easy. He's a
Yeah,
better nine hitter too. But yeah, it's pretty. I mean, we keep saying this is the end of Hicks' tenure, and then he just like keeps magically appearing. So I don't know how this is working.
yeah. They like him against righties, but Cordero and Calhoun are better against righties, and Hicks is a lefty. Hicks is a switch hitter,
It's
but they like
oh,
Kiner and center against lefties. So
I guess
there's
if
no
there is a
spot for
lefty
him.
starting, but like there's a lefty starting on Suarez is starting on
And
Tuesday.
Sandoval's the third game.
I know they're the go-to. He's the go-to guy because you don't want to put French or Calhoun, but he's not going to play on Tuesday.
No.
There's zero shot. I think the lineup Tuesday is going to be whatever Trevino, Rizzo, Torres, uh, Volpe, DJ at third, Judge. In, you put I think you put IKF in center, Judge in right,
Yeah.
and then Oswaldo at left, and
And then one
then
of the
DH.
lefties is DH.
One of the lefties is DHing, I guess lefty lefty.
Or
But like if
maybe
you're not
Judge
gonna
might DH. But
yeah, he is maybe off day kind of. I mean, you have the two lefties who you're gonna play on Tuesday over a right-handed batting Aaron Hicks because it's switch hitting, and when you do that, that's kind of it. That's kind of it.
although actually it is lefty Suarez. So do they go? Well, I think IKF will definitely be in there, and he'll be in center.
Well, I'm just saying
Yeah,
Hicks normally would be in there, but when they are not going to put him in there, you're gonna realize that you can't if you're not playing him then. When are you ever gonna actually play him legitimately?
yeah. It's. I really do hope um, that he's the first outfielder to go because I think Calhoun has given us some good at
I think
bats.
Bader is his. He's
Yeah,
gone
so
when
Bader should be up within a week or maybe a little more within the 2 weeks for sure.
Bader.
He's ready to go to a minor league assignment, so I would expect him to probably be back with before the end of April. And one of the outfielders is going to have to go. Calhoun has a role. He's a DH and he can play right field at the stadium, and he's a good hitter against righties.
Yeah.
Cordero can play right field and left field. He's pretty good against righties. He's the second most RBIs on the team. Hicks doesn't have a role. I really hope the Yankees do it. I hope they get rid of him when Bader comes back, because there's a way to a bench role for Franchi and Calhoun, right?
Yeah.
Big lefties who can hit homers, pinch hit against a tough righty, definitely. But I mean, they've tried it a couple times, but Hicks is just not a good pinch hitter or a good hitter anyway. So yeah,
Yeah.
I really do hope the Yankees do it. Like you said, lefty on Tuesday after the off day Monday. It'll be Clark against Jose Suarez. Suarez is struggling so far this year. And then Wednesday will be Johnny Brito against Griffin Canning. Both those games will be at 7 o'clock. And then the final game of the series will be at 4 o'clock on Thursday. That'll be Patrick Sandoval against Nestor Cortez. So we like our chances in game 3. Hopefully we can get one of the first two and win another series. We do not get Ohtani because the Angels are playing against the Red Sox tomorrow at 11 o'clock. It's the Patriots Day game, which is tough for the Angels. I think it's at 11 o'clock or something, so that's an odd time. But they're going to be coming in. We do not get to see Ohtani, the pitcher, but we're probably going to see him all 3 days as a hitter. Pitching matchups, Clark, Brito, Cortez. The first two are going to be big. And I think they're going to have very short leashes because the bullpen's very rested.
Mhm.
But I do think the Angels are not a bad matchup for Clark here in Game 1. He struggled so much against righties, but really only one of their hitters is lefty. You think of Trout, Ward, Urshela, O'Hoppe, Drury, Renfro. They're all righties. So I think there's a chance that Clark has a solid enough start. He just can't let Ohtani get him, which is easier said than done. But yeah, the Angels are 7-8. They've got another game tomorrow, so they'll have played 16 when they come into town too. They did lose today to the Red Sox. I think this is a 4-game set. Let's see. So they've lost all 3 times at Fenway. So there's some opportunities for some wins here. Be nice to see Urshela back in town. They have a prospect, Zach Neto, up. I think that was kind of a big deal. He started today at short, but it's a good opportunity for another win. 3-game series, and then another 3-game series at home against the Blue Jays at the weekend before the next road trip. So anything to add, preview for the Angels series, Jackson?
Angels have been struggling. We're facing three of we're avoiding Shohei and Reed Detmers, who you could argue that are their 2 of their 3 best pitchers. Sandoval's probably number 2 at this moment, or I guess maybe Tyler Anderson. But either way, you got to win 2 out of 3, and I think that's going to be the thing for most series. You got to win 2 out of 3 at home, and you just got to hit. I mean, the Angels' pitching is not really that good overall, so you got to hit. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it is a good matchup for them. Honestly, I wish we saw Ohtani. It would have been fun, but I'm excited for it, and I think that the season has gone as well as possible in a way, in a weird way. I'm happy with 10-6, and I guess you just move from here.
Yeah, we're coming into we're coming off of 2 series against 2 of probably the better pathway bullpens. You got the Guardians with Karen Chak, Clase, Stefan, whoever. That's an elite 7-8-9 path. And then you come off the Twins. We only saw it once, but Pagan, Doval's on the Giants. Pagan, Duran, and Lopez, or Lopez and then Duran. That's really good too. The Angels
Griffin
don't.
Jax isn't bad.
Yeah.
The Twins had the best pitching in the major leagues coming into this series.
So
So
yeah,
I think the Yankees did a decent job hitting.
the Angels don't have that really amount of high leverage relievers that you're looking at. Tepera, Aaron Loop, Herget, Wantz. I mean, these guys are all right, but I think we got to take into working a lot of counts, getting them out after 5-6 innings, and then going to work on their bullpen. That may not have worked against these guys, the Twins and the Guardians, but the Angels don't have that elite bullpen, or at least that elite 3, 7, 8,
They
9
don't have good
path.
pitching or good
Yeah.
bullpen. For being honest, we have to find a way to win the series and hopefully get on the board. If we're not going to sweep any series, we're not going to be able to gain ground on the Rays. So it's going to be a
Yeah, so
yeah.
Blue Jays also 10-6, and the Rays are 4 games ahead at 14-2. Tampa plays at Cincinnati up next, so they're probably going to pick up a couple more wins. So I guess we'll see you. We'll see the listeners Thursday, maybe night, late evening, 4 o'clock game, odd time there, before the weekend set. So thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the New York Yankees Kingdom podcast. We're presented by Picks by Chris and Sports Daily Media Network. Check out the Instagram account and the YouTube, and be sure to watch us next time. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you Thursday night.